Okay, welcome to episode 2 of Visionary Voices. My name is Jessica Dale. My guest today is Kat Bottner. Kat, go ahead and give listeners a brief introduction.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Kat Bottner, as Jessica has stated. I am a 39-year-old visually impaired individual. I've been visually impaired all my life. Actually, I should probably say that I identify as deafblind. I've been identified as that since age 8, probably all my life, but they didn't know about the deaf blindness piece until age 8. So I've been dual sensory for the majority of my life, as far as I know. And so it's been a challenge living with dual sensory. Things aren't always easy to overcome, but I take it with stride and storm and just, don't let anything get me down.
Yes, that's great, Kat. Can you share your journey and what inspired you to become an advocate for the visually impaired community?
Absolutely. So my journey regarding, I don't know how old I was, but in the year 2010, when I got the job as the peer support service secretary at the Delaware Association of the Blind, which is now Blind Sight Delaware. When I started that job, I was the secretary of the peer support program, which is still in existence today. It's where newly blinded individuals can pair up with a peer support volunteer to talk to them about their blindness. They have a mentor that gives them resources such as paratransit, recreational activities, things like Hadley School for the Blind, things like our blindness agency, things of that nature. And then my role actually, surprisingly enough, turned into the peer support service coordinator. So I came from doing all of the secretarial items to actually managing the program. And then not only was I involved with that on the employment sector, I was also involved in the National Federation of the Blind of Delaware from 2009 up until 2022, having various hats from student career vice president, division vice president, state first vice president, chapter first vice president, chapter president, state president, and then I decided in 2022 that I would join a different affiliate that aligned more so with my goals and not personal goals exactly, but goals that I wanted to give back more so. So now I'm heavily involved with the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. So just knowing that, I've had struggles throughout my life of, people that were supposed to actually help you, such as, your voc rehab agency not always being there for you when they should have been, people constantly saying that I wasn't going to be able to live on my own or, certain things of that nature. I've always been one to kind of say, if you're going to tell me no, I'm going to show you. So I'm very adamant about giving people, even now, the resources to live a better life.
Wow, that's great. This may surprise you, but I've actually had some of those reactions myself.
I think it happens to all of us, regardless of our disability. People just look at us as the disabled, the disability community, and they're like, well, you guys should just be sitting at home, collecting a check, waiting for somebody to help you. And that's not me. I would rather be being a part of society. I'm currently in, but it's kind of overlooked because I do so well. So I'm constantly having to tell people, I'm not just visually impaired, guys. I do have a hearing impairment. So there are accommodations that I need to make sure that both disabilities, among others that are physical, I have probably more hidden disabilities than physical, but that's another story for another day. So I'm constantly trying to make people understand that, both having both of those is it's kind of, it is tricky. It's not easy. I mean, most visually impaired people who don't have the hearing impairment can rely on echolocation versus me, I don't even know what that is. I know what it is, I know what it means, but I don't have the skill because I was never able to have full hearing, so I never gained that skill. So my ways of traveling are totally different than someone that has that skill. Not to say that all people with full hearing have great echolocation skills, because I'm sure people that do have full hearing may not always have great echolocation skills either. So I think it really depends on the person.
Exactly. How has technology impacted your life, and are there any specific tools or devices that have been particularly helpful?
Oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do without technology, whether it be my phone, a computer, the wonderful smart speakers. I can't say their name because they'll go off and I don't want to add anything random to my cart and have it show up to my house tomorrow. But yes, all of the technology, and of course the braille displays, the note takers, that just makes my life a lot easier. It's easier for me to rely on my non-visual techniques versus the amount of limited low vision that I do have. So from setting timers on my smart speaker to using an app to read something, asking it to spell something because I'm not the greatest speller. I could go on and on and on. Like, it's just having books at my fingertips on my phone, just you name it. Like, being able to order things on your phone to have them delivered. It's amazing.
It is, it really is. Can you tell us about a memorable experience or achievement that you're particularly proud of?
Absolutely. So when I was 18 years old, after I graduated high school in 2003, I attended the Helen Keller National Center on Long Island, particularly in Sands Point, New York, for a year and a half. So from September of 2003 to November of 2004. And I got to experience what it was like to live in a dorm setting, as well as take classes in independent living. I got to learn sign language because I wanted to communicate with some of the students. I got to enhance my mobility skills, my job skills, and then I also got to take part in their independent living um, program where you got to live on campus in their apartments as well as off campus. They have apartments. So 2 years after I came back in 2006, or no, seven, sorry, I actually moved out of my mom's house and I got an apartment with my sister, who's also totally blind. And I actually approached her and said, let's do this. Let's get an apartment together. So we did. And it'll be 18 years next June that I will have lived on my own.
Oh, wow, that's
So that is
incredible.
something that, I mean, it's funny. I tell people, when people say, oh, I moved out of such and, my parents' house when I was such and such. And I say, I kicked myself out of my mom's house because I literally did. I said, this is what's going to happen. In a year, I woke up one day in 2006 when I was 21, and I said, in a year, I'm out. So I did everything I needed to do. I called all the places I knew that had apartments. I called, I did all the research, found all I needed to know, and I put the plan in motion.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. What advice would you give to someone who is newly diagnosed with a visual impairment?
I would say to them, it's okay to be scared. It's okay not to know what's gonna, where you're gonna be, as far as like the next day. It's a process. And never be afraid to ask for help. It's a learning experience. I will also say never be afraid to reach out and find out what resources are available. And also network. If you know a blind person, reach out to that person because chances are that person knows 5 other blind people that can also be in your corner and be helpful.
Yes, great advice. How do you stay motivated and maintain a positive mindset despite the challenges you face?
I would say one of the things that helps me is helping others. So when I know that I'm faced with a particular challenge, whether it be employment, personal, I find it kind of, it's easier for me just to help others when I'm like finding it really hard to, grasp like what's going on in my corner at that time. So, when others come to me and say, "Well, I'm having trouble with, um, you know, college or VR or whatever the case may be," and that's one of the things I find with being in the National Federation of the Blind for the past 16 years and being in some of the roles I've been in, the network that I've found myself creating, and the people that I know, and the chain of command that that who's where, and the people that I know met along the way. um I just find it very rewarding that I'm in a position to give back, to help others. And I know that they don't necessarily have the answers to help what's going on at the time with me, but that's okay. I would rather help them, because helping them is also helping me, because it lets me know that even though things may be tough in my corner at any point in time, that I'm still able to be positive and help others. Because I don't let anything get me down. Like, I refuse. Being positive is the only way I know how to be.
Yes, I try to be positive, but sometimes it's difficult, I'll admit. What changes would you like to see in society to better support visually impaired individuals?
I would say better collaboration with organizations that help the blind and visually impaired. So I feel that if the more they collaborate with each other, the more the word can get out regarding how to um, help people in the employment sector, regarding accommodations, the hiring process, etc. Like, we've gotten very far from where we were years ago. For instance, the ADA, it was signed in 1990. It's a great thing, but I feel like there's still a lot of work to be done.
Oh, absolutely. Can you discuss any projects or initiatives you're currently working on that aim to improve the lives of visually impaired people?
One thing I am trying to do, I don't know how successful I will be at it, but I'm hoping to, in the state of Delaware at some point in my lifetime, because that's where I live, in the state of Delaware, is to get the opportunity for people with disabilities to have the option to have a more accessible voting experience with the Democracy Live platform. We have ballot um, delivery options, but as far as the ballot return option, we do not have that through Democracy Live. So I'm trying the best I can to figure out how to get this fixed. I know it's going to take longer than I want it to. Most things do when you're talking Department of Elections, and something as big as that would probably take something to be changed in the legislature. So that is one of the things I'm trying to work on, as well as making the state of Delaware more aware of their obligation to have public-facing websites be accessible to the WCAG guidelines.
Yes, for sure. how can people without visual impairments become better allies and supporters of the visually impaired community?
By um, just following the work of the National Federation of the Blind, NFB, nfb.org, and the American Council for the Blind. I think that's either of or for, sorry. And I believe their website is acb.org. So just keeping an eye on both of those advocacy organizations. I will not say one without the other. I don't think that's fair. So I just don't think that's fair. So, both organizations need allies. So follow both of those, or American Foundation of the Blind, AFB. Just anything to do with blindness, is definitely good to follow.
Absolutely. The ACB is the American Council of the Blind. And yes, you're right. Their website is acb.org. And they also, as of a few months ago, now have a Mastodon presence. So you can follow them there. What are your hopes and aspirations for the future, both personally and for the visually impaired community as a whole?
I would say my aspirations, hopes, and dreams for the visually impaired and blind community are better equal access to everything from accessible documents to websites to Uber and Lyft, not denying people with service animals. I know I'm probably asking me too much on the last one. Just equal access is something I would really like to see more of. I know, again, we've come a long way from where we were, but there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Yes, for sure. What would you say is your greatest accomplishment and why?
I would say my greatest accomplishment is getting to have the experience of being a leader in many different capacities of the National Federation of the Blind, because it has helped me grow as a person in my professional life, my personal life. It has gained me experience with public speaking, doing podcasts. I've been on several podcasts where I've had to speak and be cautious of how I speak and be professional, not say too many fillers, if that makes sense. So I'm always trying to broaden my horizons of getting myself out there to practice public speaking, being involved in community events to, let people know not necessarily who I am, but the types of things that I'm involved with, such as I also am a volunteer for our network library for the blind, and our network library for the National Library for the Blind and Print Disabled. So I do have a lot of hats. So I do feel like, my leadership journey, it's definitely not over, because I do wear a couple of hats within the NFB of Pennsylvania. But definitely that is probably my greatest accomplishment, is when somebody asked me 16 years ago to join the NFB, and I wasn't sure I wanted to. I did. And I feel as a whole it was the right thing for me to do, because it has opened up a lot of doors for me, like I said, personally, professionally. I have a variety of people that I can reach out to for a variety of different things. So that is probably one of my greatest accomplishments. among others, but that is probably the biggest, as well as proving people wrong in regards to people that said I can't live on my own. Like, I've been completely living on my own without roommates since 2014. So that is, again, that's one of my biggest accomplishments.
Oh, wow. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show this time.
I do appreciate your time and you having me. It's been awesome, telling my story. I hope I didn't yak all your listeners' ears off, and I hope you don't lose listeners after this episode.
Oh, no, I'm sure you did great. You can find the show wherever you listen to podcasts, as long as they integrate with Apple Podcasts. This includes Apple Podcasts itself, as well as Overcast, iCatcher, Downcast, and Pocket Casts, just to name a few. You can follow the show and stay in touch by finding us on Facebook. Just enter Visionary Voices in the search box. You can also do the same on Mastodon. Go to Mastodon on whatever instance you're on and type Visionary Voices in the search box and click follow. Thank you for listening.